Gold hunting is understood to be a beneficial project, but when miners start to pass deeper and end up extra skilled, they grow to be coming across matters different from gold, some of them as vain as scraps of metal and others as treasured as gold itself. What happens whilst gold miners come upon gadgets that have nothing to do with gold? What might they do if they located something more precious than gold? Join us as we dive into how Parker reveals big tusks in his hunt for gold. Parker Schnabel's uncommon discovery. Parker Schnabel isn't a stranger to getting down on the floor and getting his fingers grimy at the same time as attempting to find riches. He commenced working at the family mine in the first season as a teenager. Starting in the 2D season, the young guy took the reins of the circle of relatives' mines, and due to the fact that that time, he has always been one of the most a-success gold miners. Whereas different mining bosses frequently battle, Schnabel seems to have the Midas contact, hauling in lots of ounces of gold in keeping with season, resulting in hundreds of heaps of dollars for his crew to take home. After 10 appearances on Gold Rush, Parker has set apart a dime fortune for himself, estimated to be approximately $10 million, and he is not slowing down every time soon. But gold isn't always the handiest thing the miner has located within the fields. He discovered he had discovered some other unusual objects at some point of his tours. It is safe to say right here that lots of stuff is buried below the earth. Among all the digging and excavating miners have in all likelihood determined strange things in their travels. Forget gold as Parker stumbles into what may want to easily be the delight of many archaeologists. He shared the uncommon discovery he made while mining for gold in an interview with the Maelstrom, wherein he pointed out what's arguably the most treasured element he had that wasn't gold. He discovered that he had located a nicely preserved pair of woolly vast tusks, which was captivating. The tusks are remarkably nicely preserved because they are made of ivory and have been buried within the permafrost, protecting them from the cruel weather. Some got here up in pristine conditions despite the fact that the woolly monsters had become extinct hundreds of years ago. This discovery of preserved stays in fossils reminds us of what makes a creature. It isn't always totally unusual to find out mammogram tusks in Alaska. They keep sizable value in gasoline, a thriving industry. Since those tusks are fabricated from ivory, whilst well preserved, their price may be pretty insane. They can fetch a charge stoning up to and exceeding $1 million each. While Parker and his team on Gold Rush won't uncover whatever on the way to surpass the value of gold, mammoth tusks rank very notably among treasured finds. Suffice it to mention that the mammoth tusks he determined could be worth a quite right amount considering there are human beings available willing to shop for surely something. However, in spite of the fee and capability well worth of the tusks, Schnabel famous that he would not sell them. To promote such things as that would require obtaining diverse allows, a method he chooses to keep away from going through. Instead, he has a distinctive method to the tusks. He prefers to keep them. He thinks they may be so cool and must be saved rather than bought, and one cannot blame him. He already makes masses of hundreds of bucks from the gold he finds. So holding on to the uncommon reveals alongside the way makes experience, in particular when he can proudly declare possession of properly preserved mammoth tusks. So, if you ever discover yourself in Parker Schnabel's residence, do not be amazed if some big significant tusks are there waiting for you. The Titanic tusks are the icing on Parker's a-hit career desire. Since there's no indication that he'll halt his career each time quickly, it could be said that more discoveries wait for him. It looks as if the discovery of an unusual treasure on Gold Rush is yet to give up. As a distinguished determinant at the show, a gold mining legend stumbled upon something beautiful. Another uncommon discovery on Gold Rush. Tony Beets stumbled upon a sizable discovery on his new webpage in Paradise Hills. Rather than the standard gold discovery, he unearthed a tusk that held a peculiar importance for this part of Alaska. He noticed the tusk sticking out from the ground even as exploring the website, and with the help of his son Mike and their machines, he was able to discover the tusk. They correctly excavated the discover, which Mike to start with notioned to be a jawbone. Tony decided to herald paleontologists to examine it closely. Regarding the tusks found on Gold Rush, professionals believe that the woolly sizable skeleton located earlier may be part of the same family as the tusks. Miners have constantly exposed such bones because the Klondike Gold Rush over a century ago. The Yukon vicinity is especially renowned for its file of Ice Age animal discoveries. Although Tony cited that he had located skeletons of horses and zebras in the beyond, this specifically prompted human beings to remember the woolly gigantic. According to Gold Rush, the baby mammogram is envisioned to be at least 30,000 years old, and the protection of Ice Age animals is attributed to ice situations and the floor inside the area. The giant tusks aren't the simplest extraordinary things seen inside the Gold Rush. Miners have seen things apart from the god they set out to locate. Parker particularly got here head-to-head with something that blew his thoughts. Face to face with the welcome stranger, Parker Schnabel ought to rarely consider his eyes whilst he observed himself head to head with a duplicate of welcome stranger. The object is the most important gold nugget ever discovered. In Season 4, Episode 2, titled Installment of Gold Rush, Parker's trail, we notice that he changed into half a global far away from the Klondike Gold Rush Trail as he pursued new adventures and possibilities. Parker and his accomplice Fred Lewis have been welcomed by 4th-era Aussie gold prospector Tyler Mahoney, who swung open her truck door to show the 2-foot-lengthy golden boulder placed throughout the again seat. According to legend, the welcome stranger turned into so massive that to match on a financial institution scale, it needed to be damaged into 3 pieces on an anvil. Based at the charge at which maintain is offered inside the modern, the nugget could be really worth around $4.7 million. The unique welcome stranger had long been melted into gold bars, but 2 specific replicas continue to stay on. One is owned, and within the ownership of the descendants of Deason, and a 2D is on show in the Vintage Treasury Building in Melbourne. The one pulled from Mahoney's truck is thought to belong to the Deason family. Erected in 1897, an obelisk that marks the place of the nugget's discovery nonetheless stands in Muliagal. It wasn't Parker or every other cutting-edge day gold miner who observed it. So the query is, who made this monumental discovery that left even Parker dumbfounded? In the 1850s, heaps of human beings with desire for great unearths traveled to Victoria, Australia on the lookout for fortune as a part of the Victorian gold rush. They got here from throughout Australia and from different parts of the arena. The euphoria did not last for too long. While a few human beings struck jackpots and have been made for lifestyles, superb wealth become in no way carried out for maximum. But for 2 Cornish miners, fortune did come calling on February 5th, 1869. John Deason became born on Tresco within the Isles of Scilly, however moved to Pendine in West Cornwall as a 1-year-old after his fisherman father drowned. This is where he met his would-be associate Richard Oates, and each are recorded within the 1851 census as running inside the tin mines of Cornwall. Mr. Deason emigrated to Australia in 1853, with Mr. Oates following up a year later to begin lifestyles as a gold prospector. In 1862, they arrived in Muliagal, and after 7 years of having by and creating a dwelling, the 2 men struck gold. The marvel they discovered, which etched their names in history, changed into on a slope known as Bulldog Gully. And significant piece of gold encased in quartz became buried just below the surface. It turned into so large that, as Mr. Deason wrote, he tried to pick out up the nugget with the select, however the take care of broke. He then got a crowbar and raised the nugget to the floor. They took it to Denali about 12 miles away, where it became weighed at the London Chartered Bank. The nugget become right now damaged up because it became too massive for the scales to make a version or take photos. A drawing was made primarily based on the memory of individuals who saw it, and there is now a reproduction saved away within the Denali Museum. Miners in gold-rich areas hold to unearth great discoveries. Parker Schnabel has proven himself to be a pressure to be reckoned with. Let's take a short recap of his super adventure, the electrifying nugget. Season 10 of Gold Rush unfolded with Parker navigating a landscape of recent claims and contemporary technological advancements. Amid the hustle and bustle of mining, a noteworthy moment emerged, the discovery of the electrified nugget. It changed into an unprecedented and unique find that sent waves of electrifying pleasure through Parker, his crew, and Gold Rush fanatics. The anticipation for extra enormous finds reached its height when Parker launched into his quest, wherein he hoped to haul and expand his operations across Klondike and Eureka Creek. The electrifying nugget weighed about 41.8 oz and earned its call from a captivating dendritic crystal addict such as lightning bolts. The exceptional function of the nugget units it other than other reveals and makes it an extraordinary geological marvel, adding a top class to its intrinsic gold cost. As the season stepped forward, episode 15, titled $1 Million Payday, became a robust contender for showcasing the electrifying nugget. Ultimately, the electrifying nugget adds a stunning chapter to Parker's whole mining legacy. Its marketplace cost is elevated because of its rarity and unique crystalline beauty. Its location is cemented as a memorable and symbolic find of the Gold Rush, the Eureka Creek bounty. Season 7 of Gold Rush spread out as Parker embarked on a daring adventure. Amid a series of demanding situations, from battling gadget failure to volatile maintained yields and the risks of unexplored terrain, he skilled the harshness of the mining industry. Even with this, he turned into undeterred. He invested in contemporary technological advancements and satisfactorily tuned his operations to healthy his challenges and have a dramatic turnaround. In mid-season, there was an excellent transformation. When visitors watched how Parker's efforts at Eureka Creek began to yield fruit, a sustained length of amazing gold restoration observed. For this reason, the moniker Eureka Creek Bounty. Episodes like Eureka Payday and King Knopf Klondike have become the crescendo of this bounty. Parker always recovered great gold, exceeding enthusiasts' expectations and surpassing his preceding hauls. They're turned into unrestrained pleasure as the team celebrated the end result of the aggregate of their hard work and perseverance. The importance of the Eureka Creek bounty as a turning factor sets it other than the others. His constant healing of gold in the region solidified Parker's function as a pacesetter inside the competitive international of gold mining. The sustained fulfillment allowed him to expand his operations to different regions and invest in extra advanced technology and advanced equipment. Despite all of the gold Parker has found, he has no longer spared from losses both. He has had great losses on the grounds that he commenced his career as a 16-year antique miner. Let's take a peek at some of the losses that he has suffered. Historic $3 million loss. After putting hundreds of thousands of dollars into a certain vicinity in Alaska, Parker and his team banked 108 Oz from tailings left through antique time gold miners. But the real icing at the cake became a specific place called the Wolf Cut, a virgin floor that would probably maintain over 2,000 Oz, and was envisioned to be worth greater than $3 million because of its quantity of gold. This Wolf Reduce is a surely important pit, so essential that they even tagged it the maximum crucial pit of the season, just in terms of the statistics it were given. The vicinity is quite deep, such that Parker's group took months just to get to the pay layer of the cut. But some matters by no means move as deliberate. This became the group's state of affairs. Some weeks before, a devastating flood had become the wolf right into a lake. It was so complex that Parker concept it might have been higher to go together with all of the money to Vegas than drown in the flooded Wolf Reduce. But Parker, recognized for his tenacity, refused just to surrender the area. The group controlled to battle returned the water after a chunk of battle, and Mark IV's, the foreman for the operation, sooner or later came right down to pay dirt. Parker was determined to find out if there was sufficient gold to warrant them going all in. He went to one area and loosened the dust, but it needed to be extra dazzling. Moving to every other region in the Reduce, he finally discovered a few pleasant dirt, indicating gold inside the place. Parker determined to go away the crew to paintings and go back in days.